Hello and welcome to our tutorial number 4. In this tutorial we are basically going to look at this question, and in the question here, as we see, we are given to create a database and give it a name, Light Academy, and then after that create a table and save it as staff table. We add the fields to the table with their correct data types, create a form with all the fields, and use it to populate the table. That means this time around we are going to create a table, but we are using a form to populate that table. Now, just the word populating should not be a confusing factor. It simply means adding the records to the table. And basically this time around we are not adding the records using the table, but we are adding the records using a form. And so our main point of interest is going to be creating a form and then using that form to populate the table. And so here we go. Now that we all know how to create a table, we know how to add the fields, we know how to choose the correct data types. Now we are going to look at how to create a form and then use that form to add the records into our table. So here we have our database already created with the fields. The database is called Light Academy with the table name, staff table. We have the fields already added, but I just want to take you back through these fields here. As you may see, all along we've been working on the fields, and we know the staff number here. If you look at our question, one would wish to use auto numbers, but remember I told you to use auto numbers, the numbers must be auto incrementing. For example, they must be consecutive. Now here we are having our staff number, but if you look at the numbers, they're not consecutive, and therefore it leaves us with only one option of using text as our very appropriate data type. And also that we have the staff number, of course, given assigned the primary key because it's the only field in here which can uniquely identify the records. Then we have another field here, salary, that I wanted to show us. Remember, it is currency. Salary is in form of money, so we give it a field, we give it a data type, currency, and I just wanted to present itself without any symbol, so I'll make it general. So we take it as a general number, not as currency, because there it will appear with a symbol. So then there we go and save our table, and here it is. So we are now going to see how to create a form based on this table here. Now, to create a form, there are three basic ways in which you can create a form, but I am going to emphasize one basic way. For instance, to create a form, we come to create, then the forms are right here. We have what we call the form design, we have what we call the form wizard, and we have what we call just clicking on the form like that and the form appears. But I'll call this one here not very appropriate because you will not have control over your form, so I'm going to delete it. Then we have what we call the form wizard also. Now a form wizard simply helps you, or is simply a series of steps that guide you on how to create a form. For instance, I come here, I send all the fields because we want them to appear on the form. Then I come to next, then even if I skip this step of the layout, then I move on. I want to open the form, then I finish. There the form appears with all the fields. But I want to emphasize what we call the form design because this one gives you more control on your form. So we go and create a form in form design. So that's what appears when you go to form design. Now, for us to be able to add the fields that are existing in a table, we come to add existing fields, which is this property here. Then we come and show all our tables. So we only have one table in this database. So in this table, we show all the fields that are therein, and then we start double clicking on every field to allow it to appear on our form. So there we go. Our fields have appeared on the form, and now from here we can actually choose to even change the appearance of this form. We can change its color. For example, I choose the fill color. I want the fill color maybe to be that. and you can change anything else. We can choose to increase the size of these fields here. Remember, as these fields appear, they come with what we call the detail handlers, or these boxes here that contain the details. Then we have what we call the field name handlers. There are these boxes here. We can as well choose to give them their own color so that they can be a little different from what the others look like. So we can give them, for example, that kind of dark blue color. After that, we now go and view our form in form view, and that's now how our form appears. So from here we can now go on to add the fields, the records in our form. Now just down here, this bar here indicates the number of fields that are existing. Right now we only have field 1 of 1, so we go and add the first field in our table. The first field is I'll just minimize this so that we can view all of them at once. So we have UTS as our first entry, 652. Then we come down, the surname is Natukunda Emily. We have Natukunda, and then the first name is Emily. Then we have the sex. I remember I made these ones here lookup wizards, so I just come and choose female. Department, I also made it a lookup wizard, so the department is physics. Then the salary, I can type in the salary as the salary is right here, so I can type it in 275,000. So I come and type in 275,000. So that's the salary that she earns. Now, having typed that one there, I can now move on to enter the second record. So I come, and there is an option here for next record. This one is for last record, this one is for next record. So I go to next record, and another blank file will appear. If I choose to go back, I'll find that my record is right here. So I can now go to the second record and enter the second person. So that's how we create a form. Now let's just go back to our table and see whether it has been populated or whether the record has been entered. Now if you come back here, you find that there's nothing in the table, but to make them appear, simply come to refresh and refresh your table, then your record will appear right there. So that's how we use a form to populate the table. Now let's go and enter all our records in the table and have our table completed. So now we can see that we have finished entering the data in our tables, in our table using a form, what we called populating the table. And rightly, if we go through this data, we can see that all members have been added. And when we go to our table, if we open here our table, we can see that now our table is fully populated. But one thing that you just have to realize from this table, it's that it has been sorted in ascending order of the staff number. So that brings us to the end of this tutorial, and let's wait for the next tutorial and see what we're going to be talking about. Thanks for watching.